Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to the Anime Talk, the show where love is in the air sometimes and it feels so right. But anyways, so today's on the Anime Talk. If you haven't read the title, which I presume you have at least, we're going to be talking about dating with a person that's an otaku or more so just into anime in general. So, you know, I've known a lot of people that are die-hard into anime, but like that anime takes over their world, and it's not in an unhealthy sense. More so, it's just in the sense that they don't watch regular movies, they don't watch regular TV shows, they just watch anime. And there's nothing per se wrong with that. I mean, everyone has their hobbies and their things they like and dislike. There's nothing inherently wrong, but if you are the guy or girl, so if this is your boyfriend or girlfriend in this case, that you're now hooked up with this person, and they have a kind of traditional sense of just watching, anime rather than going to movies or stuff like that, it can be kind of tough. You have to figure out ways of making a date from what you have essentially at hand. So today on the Anime Talk, what I'm going to be doing for you guys and girls, I'm going to be giving you tips and tricks on how to deal with that special someone that might be an otaku. Even if you are an otaku or if you're not a super otaku, so maybe you love anime yourself, but not as much as that other person does. Or if you both love anime equally. Now, as with all my anime talks that are like tips and tricks based type things, listen, folks, they're based off of my own personal experiences and those around me. My friends and stuff like that. They have failure rates. It's like anything else. I to explain this to people that not every single tip is going to work, not every single trick is going to work for you. It's something that it can work. I've seen it work, and I know to a point it works for me at least. But will it work for you? That's debatable. So it's just more so, will it work for you? And if not, understand that it may not work because it's just how it is. Now, the first tip I'm giving you, the first tip and trick in many ways, is find out what your special someone is really into anime wise. So, there are a lot of my friends who are die-hard anime movie fanatics. They all they do is watch anime movies. They might watch a few series, but more so they like the anime movies. They love stuff like by Miyazaki or I can't think of the guy's name all of a sudden. Makoto Shinkai. I couldn't think of his name for a second. I apologize for that. But there are people that are really into those two creators. For example, that's just two to name off the top of my head. In that case, you have to find the movies that they haven't seen or the movies they really, really enjoy. Because as with anything, with Studio Ghibli movies in general, it's a little easier with because there's a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. I mean, you could look around and find movies that I guarantee you have not seen from the guy. And in general, Miyazaki just in general has so many different types of movies that are both, more under the Disney guys and also more just under the older stuff that you might not have grew up with or you might not have seen in your earlier days. So find the movie or the genre type movie that your special someone's into. With me, I know that a lot of my friends, because this goes, less so me in this case, because I'm not really super into all the anime movies. Like, I watch them, don't get me wrong, but I won't watch a lot of them. I know with a few of my other friends who do date girls that are, or in this case guys, and whatever your floats your boat, I know that they typically have to find movies that are from the older generation of movies. So they look for stuff that's in the 90s that, even it's not just Miyazaki, but other people too, other creators. But they look for the older stuff because a lot of the newer stuff, their special someones have seen already. So it's definitely a hard one. If this is the case for you, just note that this is a tough one because movies, there are not that many anime movies. I'm not saying there's not a little bit of, there's hundreds at least, but in terms of series, you're gonna have better luck. Next part, this is my next tip and trick for you guys and girls, is find a series that both of you can enjoy. Now, I've watched a lot of weird shows in my time. It's kind of just something that will come with, trying to hang out with that special someone or maybe someone that you care about. And you might have to watch something that's kind of out of your comfort zone. Now, if that's the case, be prepared for that. That's more, so I'm going to go into that more in my third tip and trick to you guys. But, for the most part, if you're really trying to establish a good base to go off of, watch something that you're both into. So, if you are really into, I don't know, let's say romance stuff, and she's into romance or he's into romance stuff, then find the stuff you have not seen, or find the stuff that you have seen but you would love to rewatch again because maybe it's been a long time, or maybe you feel it would be romantic to watch again. This is something that I think people forget, that you do not always have to watch new stuff. You can watch stuff you've seen before. To me, I always find watching something that I've seen before with someone else kind of fun and intriguing, almost changes the dynamic of watching it. You know, when you watch something by yourself, you take in a certain amount of information that you can only process in your own head. When you watch it with someone else, you get a whole different perspective on, from them. So maybe that scene you saw, maybe you didn't see the same thing from their perspective, and now they're telling you, oh yeah, I saw that one little image over there, and I found that really interesting. You go, oh, I never noticed that before. That is the cool thing about watching anime with other people. So definitely don't, knock that until you try it. Watch something that both of you can really enjoy, and that will, at the end of the day, make you both smile and be like, you know what, I like that show, that was really good, let's watch the next episode or something like that. Alright, so I kind of went into it in the second part, but now I'm going to go into it by itself. Don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone. Tip number 3 / trick number 3. You are definitely going to meet that special someone that may not like the stuff that you like. That is completely normal, folks. That's something that you're just going to have to put up with. I've met my share of people that have liked stuff that I would not watch by myself in a heartbeat. But, like I said with the second one, watching something again with someone else is something that it's a whole different dynamic than watching it single. So, what I say and do for people is I tell them, if your special someone is into, like, for example, I know ecchi, and you're not into that, that's a little bit, by the way, I'm pulling on straws with that one, but if they're into that, you're going to have to go into that comfort zone, because you'll be like, well, I don't really like that show. They can try to tell you something that doesn't have super amounts of what you don't like about it. So even with like harems, for example, there's plenty of harems out there, like Asterix War. The first season of Asterix War is a very harem heavy show, but the second season is very out of the harem zone, more so goes into action. That's a show that you could watch if someone really is into harems or doesn't like harems. You could find a good balance between the two right there, because you'll be like, oh, the first season does have a lot of harem stuff, but the second season does not. So that's a good show recommended to you guys and girls to watch with like someone else, your special someone. But do not be afraid to kind of go into something that you're not familiar with. For example, I've been watching a lot of reverse harems lately. There's nothing per se wrong with watching reverse harems. I always tell people it's not technically out of a weirdness, because realistically a reverse harem is essentially just what a harem is. The only difference is the girl's the main protagonist. I think a lot of people, especially guys in a sense, they get too comfortable with harems always being about one protagonist being the male and then having like 50 girls flock to that one dude. Why not the other way around? What's so wrong with that? It doesn't actually, if you really think about it, it's not changed the dynamic much per se, having it switch the gender role here. You now have a female protagonist taking that role and having other dudes flock to her, but it's still straight. It's not like, if you're one of those people that you're worried about, maybe the sexuality or something like that, it's still straight in that case. Yaoi or Yuri is something different entirely. That's understandable, and I'm going to talk about that in a couple minutes, but, that's understandable. That's a little weird if you're not into that. And listen, folks, if you're not into that, don't feel bad. There's some people that love that stuff. There's some people that hate it. And also, equally, if you are into that type of stuff, do not get pissed off at people. Like, I see this too often. You get pissed off at people that don't like that. It's out of their comfort zone. They really can't enjoy something that's so different from what they're used to. But yeah, it's just the bottom line to this tip, and so I can go to my next one, is that you'll find that there's a lot of genres out there that maybe you're not used to, or you maybe just really wouldn't watch by yourself. But like I said with the second one, and it goes into the third one, really important to kind of emphasize this, is watching with someone else, someone that you really care for, someone that you really have feelings for, excuse me, really changes the whole kind of dynamic of what you're doing. And it really makes it where you might not really hate watching the show. You might actually enjoy it because you're with that person that you know likes it so much. It's just in general, if you really like a show and you watch it with someone else, you want them to see the same stuff that you like about that show, right? So in this case, they're trying to convey to you, hey, listen, I know this is kind of out of your comfort zone. Maybe you don't like this type of stuff, but this is why I love it so much. And if you really are willing, and you really want to put effort and make sure that other person knows how you feel about them, you're not afraid to step into that boundary of something that's kind of out of your comfort zone. Now, step 4 is something that's like I really want to be careful how I word this because it's something that will, I think, agitate some people at the same time as also be informative to some people. Step 4 is do not press a series or genre onto someone that does not want to watch it. Now, equally, like I just said, you should be aware that you're going to have to go out of your comfort zone watching certain shows with someone else that you care about, your boyfriend or girlfriend in this case. But if they really do not want to watch a genre and you're hell bent on making them watch it, understand that there has to be a compromise here. You cannot just keep pushing that genre type onto the person next to you. As much as you might care for someone, as much as you might love them or whatever, you really cannot expect them to like every single genre that you like. There are times where you might really like Yuri stuff or yaoi stuff, and they might hate it. Be understanding, be civil about it. Go into the reverse harem stuff. Go into the stuff that is not really per se weird or anything out of the kind of dynamic that they're used to, because at least then they can kind of get with it. If you go into a realm that they completely don't want to go into, you're going to do two things. You're going to push them away, or you're going to agitate them. And you cannot then be pissed off about that, because here's the thing. I don't want to watch something that I really don't. I'm not into yaoi or yuri stuff, and if my special someone goes, oh, let's watch it, I'm gonna be no. I'll tell them flat out, because I don't want to watch that stuff. I've seen those things before, and I've never been comfortable watching that type of show, only because that's just how my thoughts and stuff lie with that. Is there anything wrong with those type of genres? No, there's nothing wrong with those genres. If you love those genres, hey, power to you. There's so many genres out there that, hey, to me, honestly, whatever you like and you enjoy, even if you like that hentai, if you're one of those people that really likes hentai, what's wrong with that? That's your prerogative. But just note that people will not like the same stuff you always like. So understand that if they're trying to say, hey, no, I don't want to watch this, you gotta back off a little bit. You gotta say, okay, I won't force you to watch this. Let's watch something else instead. Come to a compromise. And that's the final step in this. Well, actually, second to last step, I should say. I'm sorry about that. I had to think for a second. Compromise is the last step. I want to say the next step that follows, so like step 5, I believe this should be. Maybe I'm wrong. Step 5 is that when you're with your special someone, do not per se feel bad if you do not like the show they don't like. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that same thing with all the other steps I told you about, having to step out of your comfort zone and kind of be watching something with someone and maybe liking with them or disliking, whatever. But don't be afraid. Hey, listen, if you didn't like that show, tell them, I didn't really like that show. I didn't feel it was that great, or I didn't like this and that about it. To me, honesty is the best policy. And I think a romance or a relationship in general needs to be set fundamentally on a base of truth and just being honest with your spouse or your special someone in general. Without that honesty, a lot of stuff falls to the wayside. And you don't really want to per se tell someone, oh, I love that show, when you didn't like that show, because they're going to keep making you watch shows like that. With something like, for example, I reviewed Diabolical Lovers with someone recently, and the thing is that it was out of my comfort zone per se, because I haven't seen reverse harem since I was like a teenager. But at the same time, I honestly didn't hate it. I said that it's a genre that's not for me per se, but watching with someone else was fun. I enjoyed it. I really didn't feel there was anything wrong with that. And the thing is that that's the same concept that goes into the whole thing with dating and in general, and watching anime with that special someone, is that you're going to have those times where you just maybe don't like something, but just be honest about it. Don't lie, because equally okay, so say for example, let's say you watch like Diabolical Lovers with someone and you hated it. Okay, you just flat out hated it, but you keep lying and say, oh, I kind of liked it. It was good. You're gonna have to keep watching stuff like that, man. Or girl in your case, whatever. You're gonna have to keep watching that, and that means that you're gonna have to keep enduring it. To me, Diabolical Lovers was not. I don't have any issue saying that. It was not that bad. I actually enjoyed some of it. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it had some good stuff here and there. Is it the greatest thing ever? No. Is it a genre I'd watch by myself? Hell no. I would never watch Diabolical Lovers by myself. But with someone else that you care for, it's not that big of a deal. Now, finally, the last but not least, compromise. Step 6 and the final step. Compromise. I cannot state that enough. With anything, this is a very quick step, folks. I mean, after this, I'm going to be done with this anime talk because I don't want to go beyond 20 minutes, but I'm already at like 15. But compromising with any type of relationship stuff, dating or just kind of advancing in general in your relationship, is something that you have to both be willing to do. And what I mean by that especially is that in the case of watching anime as a date, you have to be willing to compromise with certain things. So all the steps you have to be willing to take that risk in those things that I did. The thing is that a lot of people think that you can do one of the steps without the other one. So you can go, oh, I could just tell that person I don't like that at all, and never have to watch that. No, 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 that's not gonna work, friend. I'll tell you that right now. That is gonna kind of hinder you a little bit. What you have to be willing to do is all of those steps that I told you about have to be something that you compromise with. You have to be willing to take those steps into the boundaries that you don't want to. You have to be willing to enjoy the stuff that that other person likes, if it's movies or series or whatever. You have to be willing to tell them if you liked it or not. Just be honest with them, folks. That's one of the biggest things. Compromise is honesty at the same time. And I could have made that whole step extra, but I'm not going to. But you have to be willing to say that all these steps have to be in unison. One or the other without each other does not work, surprisingly. All these steps are very, very important to work kind of unanimously together. Individually, they can work for a little while, but you'll find that it breaks things up after a while, and it kind of just dissolves your, I want to say, relationship in terms of watching anime with someone. Now, honestly, watching anime as a date is not something that you should be ashamed of doing, folks. I don't know, like, people, I think, in this day and age, they see newer stuff and they think right away, oh, that's kind of weird, to do this or that. There's nothing weird with that. I mean, what's the difference between you watching an anime as a date and watching a movie that's CGI or cartoon-type movie in the theaters? There's really nothing different. If you enjoy something, if you really are a huge fan of anime, if you're a huge otaku fan in general, to me, it's always good to embrace something that you love, because hobbies are something amazing, because we all have different hobbies in general, and when you embrace that love, it comes off as something kind of genuine. When you don't, it comes off as something negative, and I think in general people try to kind of shy away from certain things. If you like something, freaking say that you like it. Don't be afraid to say you like it. If you don't like something, also equally don't be afraid to say you don't like it and don't enjoy it. But overall, I hope this helps you guys and girls. I think, I don't want to say I'm the quintessential person to be asking for dating advice. I've helped people before with dating advice. I could help myself to a point. But the thing is that, like I said, you always find your own kind of way. My tips and tricks are meant to kind of fundamentally assist you, not mean to be the end all means of everything. It's something that you have to integrate with your own ways and being. So more so, like, for example, all the steps I gave you, you have to find times that work for you. You have to find genres that work for you, shows that work for you. It has to be all your work, essentially. Just fundamentally, I'm adding to your help. Like, I'm helping you by furthering along your progress, if that makes sense. Anyways, guys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this anime talk. I will talk to you all later. As always, if you like the stuff, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the video. You know the whole nine. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.